Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gemini Twin Ascension. Not really sure right now the purpose. I'm just trying to stay awake. I've got to go pick my son up from basketball after a while, and I am exhausted. I don't really know why. I kind of know. Yeah. And he even asked, "I don't understand why you're so tired." I can tell you why. You won't like it, but um, he was bitching and griping again today. No surprise there. Um, he's always bitching, well, we never spend time together. And I tried to wake him up a couple of different times so we could go get some stuff done. We had a couple of bills that we needed to pay. They needed to get some stuff from the store. He needed stuff for lunch or work, and he wouldn't get up. And when I finally come in here and I got a little snippy with him to finally get him to get up because it was an hour before he had to go to work, and he started bitching a lot. He did wake up this morning around quarter till 10 to take my 13-year-old basketball practice. And then I went and picked him up. He's like, well, I never get to sleep every other day. If I let him sleep till 3 o'clock, he bitches at me. We never get to spend any time together. Today, try to wake him up early so we can get stuff done and check in. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. And so, very draining. I did have a little bit of nice time tonight. We had our local Christmas parade tonight, and it was my younger two boys and my daughter. My 17-year-old, he's a manager for the basketball team, had to be at the school for that. My oldest son said he'd be there, but he'd be late, never showed up. Um, he's more not helping. He better pull himself out of it. He's getting more and more like his daddy every day. I still love him. I always will. But if I start seeing any of the tendencies that his father has, I will course correct him immediately because I know growing up in that situation, he thinks it's normal, but it's not, and I will call him on it. And I've already mentioned it to my daughter as well because there's a few times I've seen a few tendencies in her fiance that concern me because I know the issues he had with his own family growing up. So I'm very watchful of her for that reason. And that goes into the, cycles repeating themselves. We have to break these cycles somehow. You know, things weren't as bad with my mom and dad when I was growing up. Yeah, they fought, they argued. They did end up getting divorced. He was emotionally abusive. He cheated on her. But as far as I know, I never saw him hit her. So I sit here and think, how did I let this go on for 22 years? Because, well, I can't say 22 years because it didn't start right after we got married. We fought, we argued, we did that while we were dating, but most of that was play arguing. It was never anything real serious. But it did start getting a little physical, and yes, he is right where he has said, "Well, you've done that to me before, and that was years ago." And I stopped, and it stopped because there would be times I would get mad, and yes, I would throw things. It's I do have a temper, but once I started noticing, how toxic that was, I stopped, you know, doing things like that, stopped engaging in stuff like that. And most of the time when he'd start screaming, I would just sit there because when he gets on his tirade, you can't get a word in edgewise. And my dad has witnessed this. The day after he attacked me back in August, I made a post on Facebook. Well, it started on Instagram, and I cross posted it to Facebook, describing what he had done. And of course, shit hit the fan. And he started screaming at me. My dad saw the post. He texted me, and he said, "Well, what's this post about?" So we read it, didn't we? And this whole time, Carmen's sitting there. He's screaming at me. Of course, it's your fucking phone. I looked at him. I said, "It's my fucking daddy." And he just gave me a dirty ass look. And then my dad called. And now, bear in mind, I know I just noticed I do have a viewer now. This happened. This is part of what happened back in August. Um, my dad called, and another dirty look from him, almost daring me to answer the phone, and I did. I answered the phone, and I let my dad sit there and listen to him screaming at me. And my dad kept asking, "Well, do I need to call the cops?" And I kept telling him, "No, don't, just no, don't." Well, uh, okay, I've still got about 30 minutes before I gotta go pick my son up. He just texted me. But what was that? And I let my dad. Okay, he asked if I wanted him to call the cops, and I kept telling him, "No, no, no." Um, Next thing I know, my daughter's coming over. My younger son's up. My 17-year-old son is back there in his room crying because he tried to blame himself for what happened the day before because he knew, hey, Ophelia, I'm not going to be on here for long right now. I've got to go pick Jesse up. I'm trying to stay awake and just talking some things out. Um, but he was blaming himself. And finally, my dad ended up over here with me. And the whole time my dad was here, the karmic was still, screaming at me, and I would try to talk, and I'd go to start talking, and he'd start screaming over me and would not allow me to talk. Um, so he's just when he gets like that, there's no talking to him, there's no reasoning with him. He's gonna say what he wants, damn to how anybody else feels, and it's just I don't want that for my kids. I don't want my son thinking that that stuff is okay. I don't want my daughter having to deal with it. Um, so I've got to find it. I will break this cycle. I will put an end to it. And last night, I was talking to Melissa and Ophelia Grace, and the karmic was texting me, and I didn't answer him. He said, "Oh, well, I guess you're busy." And I texted him back, and I told him, I said, "Well, actually, yes, I was busy." I said, "I was actually wiping off the top of the washer and dryer because I was pouring, I bought some smaller bottles of our laundry detergent. I was pouring them into the bigger bottle that we keep back there, and I spilled some of it. So I was cleaning it up." And he said, "LOL, okay." And about a minute later, he said, "Just forget it. Sorry, I won't bother you." I didn't even really have time to respond, and he's snapping at me because I didn't immediately, respond back to him. And this kind of goes into a video that I did a couple of weeks ago, about in this modern, world, our phones were constantly connected, and we freak out when, somebody doesn't text us back immediately, or we don't hear from them for a couple of days. And for a while I was guilty of that. When my twin would go a while without texting me, I would freak out. But I started realizing that even though I wasn't hearing from him, physically, I would still feel him. I could still hear from him if I allowed it. If I, you know, tapped into that, I could still hear from him. And so many people think that just because they don't connect constantly, that the connection's not there, and that's not the case. I mean, my twin lives few states over, several hour drive, and our only means of communication is the phone. But I know, and I'm just mention them and they'll both show up. But I know how busy he gets, and I know that he'd give me the attention he that he wants to if he could. Sometimes he can't, and I've gotten to where I'm okay with that because I know that, and I've mentioned this before, and he said it. He said, sooner or later, he said, I always come back. He said, I want to be here with you. I just can't sometimes. There are situations that prevent it. And I know a lot of people, well, it only takes a couple of seconds to send a text. True, but sometimes people don't have the mental capacity to deal with things. And when we talk, sometimes it brings up so many emotions for him that it's hard for him to focus on anything else but me. And I'm not going to ask him, to put his job in jeopardy or put other things in jeopardy just to talk to me. Because when he's talking to me, he is focused on me. So I know when he comes to me, it's you know I have his full attention. I'm just kind of rambling. Like I said, I'm waiting for my son. I have to go pick him up here in a little bit. He'll probably text me when it's over with. Then I may end up coming back. But what was the other thing that I was? There was something else that I meant to say yesterday in the video I did, but I got on such a rant I don't remember. Oh yes, thank you. The comment that the karmic made yesterday after he told me he was going to cut my phone off. He turned around with the most hateful look on his face. He said, "Well, why don't you just get your fucking boyfriend to start paying for your shit?" Um, First of all, that's not what he is. Well, to you it may be, but he doesn't. He knows about my twin, but he doesn't know. I mean, I've mentioned to him before. We've discussed the twin flame thing, and I've told him, I said, I know who my twin is, and it's not you. So he knows. And I have three. Okay, cool. But he knows that there's somebody else that I really truly care about, and it it's eaten up at him. And uh, I want to say I hope he realizes how much of the responsibility for that is on him. I mean, I know there was divine guidance and that brought us together, but there were certain things that he did that kind of catapulted that to where I did meet my twin. Things that he had done, he would push me away. He would, for the longest time, he would he would tell me, no, the sex. I'm tired. I don't feel good. It was always something. But yet I would catch, things on his phone, women that he was talking to. So it made me think I wasn't good enough. He didn't want me. So, you know, that in a way is how I actually met my twin. And I've come to realize that, yes, I am good enough. Um, I don't have to have outside validation to know that. And nobody has to have anybody else's validation to realize that they are enough of a person that they deserve the love. Um, it's just, it took me a long time to realize that because as a teenager, I was, I wasn't actually fat. I mean, if I was to post some pictures from that from when I was a teen, I wasn't actually fat. I was 5'11", and when I got pregnant with my son, I weighed 135 pounds. My doctor actually scolded me, said that I was underweight. But I was always, called fat. I looked like a man. There was all these things. There were some from some really hateful souls if they even had them, and really mean karmic people. So for a long time, had a very bad self image. And I've even told my twin this. I said, when we first started talking, I said, you're lucky you got some of the pictures that you did, because I hated, pictures of myself. I wouldn't do it. And even now, I look at those pictures, or the first few pictures that I sent him, to the pictures of me now. And yes, there is a big change. I have showed Ophelia and Melissa, or I don't know if I've showed Melissa or not, but I've shared them on Instagram, so she may have seen them. But since I met my twin, yes, there has been a drastic change in a lot of things for me. And that brings me to another little comment from the karma earlier, because we went to Wendy's earlier before he left for work. The kids were hungry, he was hungry, so we went there and we ate. And I ate a cheeseburger. Uh, but now my stomach is it almost feels like I ate a whole Thanksgiving dinner that was cooked for 8 people, but I ate every bit of it. I feel that, ugh, because of it. And I know it's because I ate that hamburger meat, that meat, that beef. And I told him, it just doesn't agree with me. He said, well, it never used to bother you before this. I almost wanted to say before what, asshole. But I told him, I said, well, you've got to think. I said, for the longest time, for several months, I wasn't eating any red meat. It was usually either chicken or turkey. That was my source of protein, was the chicken or the turkey, and occasionally some salmon. But so I went for a while, and my body got used to not having that. And in a minute, we gotta go get Jesse. Okay, just sit it down. Yeah, we'll have to go get Bub.
I have 22
Okay.
Starburst.
Okay.
Not mine.
Okay, those are mine. I picked those up myself. All right, go.
Wait, what?
Go.
Wait, I got
Well,
one of those too.
I know. But my body got used to not have. I'm talking to somebody. He looks at me kind of funny. My body got used to not having that red meat anymore. And when I started eating it again, it's like, oh, I don't think we really like this anymore. So I really don't eat it a whole lot. He started talking about the Army Navy football game is coming up Saturday, and it's kind of a big deal in our house. My husband, the karmic, was was in the Navy. That was, yeah. I'm not gonna get into that one. And then my oldest son just come home from his contract with the Army. So the Army Navy football game is a big deal in our house. And we have this thing that we make. It's typically reserved for Super Bowl, but they decided we wanted to make it for Saturday. It's what um, my 13-year-old has dubbed Super Bowl stew. But it's got pork sausage, beef sausage, pork roast, beef roast, taters, carrots, green beans. It's got a bunch of different seasonings and everything in it, and we cook it in a big roaster. Well, he said, well, since you can't eat that, he said, well, what do you want for Saturday? He's sitting there, I don't want your belly being upset all day. I said, I'll get something else for me to eat. I said, and then he turned around. He said, well, we just won't put the beef in it. I was like, no, because I don't want everybody else complaining that it tastes funny. And he said, well, they don't even really know what else in it. And I was trying to, leave it alone, because I know in the back of my mind, if I agree to the change of it later on down the line, he's going to throw that up in my face. Well, we change the way we eat just for you. No, a lot of times I'll fix the kids stuff that they want, and then I'll fix me something else. Although there are a few times that I've made spaghetti, and I would buy the whole wheat noodles, but I wouldn't tell them. I'm just now noticing your comment, Ophelia. Yeah, I can't see the screen that well, but I'm fixing to have to go get. Uh, Here, we'll do. Since I did say readings, and I didn't realize that he was going to be done that quick. We'll pull an angels and ancestors card, and then maybe we'll come back and do another live, either here or maybe Ophelia, maybe all three, Ophelia and Melissa as well. We'll do a live. Like I said, right now I'm just trying to move some of this energy out because I am extremely exhausted and it's because of him. I know it is. Um, he's getting better at, getting through things, so which means I have to learn to be a little bit stronger and not let him. And it would be, I'm sitting there preaching about, knowing, but could benefit from a little bit of conversation with my twin. I know he'll come when he's ready, so I'm all right with that. We have Direction Guardian, choose your path. Let go of the need to be right, which is a peacekeeper. And I honestly feel that's my twin coming through because he's, always trying to, be peaceful about it. High Priestess, harness mystic power, and the Stag, trust and thrive. A lot of us right now are at a crossroads as to where we're wanting to go with this journey. And Spirit is asking us to make a choice. It's time to choose which direction you want to go with this. And then, let go of the need to be right. And that's not only, you know, I feel that's not only, just the need to be right, it's the need to have all of the answers. So many of us are wondering why or questioning certain things. We have to, peacekeeper, it's not just, you know, sometimes you do have to surrender to keep peace. I'm not going to surrender to the karmic. It's not going to happen. But it's the surrender, the hows, the whys. You don't always have to be right about everything. You can, there's compromise and things like that. And then harness the, sorry, I'm not sorry. That was, that's one thing I'm trying to work on is stop apologizing for stuff that there's no need for apology for. Um, the High Priestess, this is harness mystic powers. They're telling us that we do have the powers. They are growing. We just have to learn how to use them for the higher good of those around us. And then the trust and thrive. Trust in your connections. Trust that the tests, wait for important information. Trust that the tests that you may be going through right now are, they may be hard, but in the end, they will be for your higher good, for your benefit, and for your twins' benefit as well. You just have to trust and know that the connection is there, even though, on the surface, it seems like everything is just falling apart. Look, I'm hearing the part from Lion King, look beyond what you see. Look beyond what you see in the physical. Go higher, tap into that energy and realize what is there, what has always been there, and what is meant to be yours. Don't stress over it. Don't, think you need all of the answers right now. The answers that you need will come when you actually need them, not just because you think you need them. The universe will give you the answers that you need when you need them. So with that, I am going to where did my keys? I have to go pick my son up. If Ophelia and Melissa, yes, I know you do, want to do a live when I get back, that'd be cool. Um, but until then, I hope y'all have a great night. And just remember, your power is your own. Call it back, and even sitting here talking for just a few minutes, pull, letting out that stagnant, yucky bleh shit that he's dealt with me today, I feel a whole lot better. Um, yes, I'm still tired, but I honestly think that may be a little bit of my twin coming through because of the time of night it is. But I feel my energy and my everything has lifted a little bit just in talking about this. And a lot of times I do write, which I probably will cute will write it out after a while. So I will talk to I know Ophelia is on here right now. I'll talk to y'all here in a little bit when I get back from picking him up. I do have to run into the store real quick. Ophelia, I already talked to you about this. I was trying to talk myself into going a while ago, and I still didn't go. But I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a great night if we don't get back on the live. Bye.